Hey everybody, welcome. Good to be with you today. We're in Psalm 37. We're studying goodness. What does goodness look like? In God's eyes, goodness is very different to the good that the world portrays it to be. So let's continue as we read. Psalm 37 says this: the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his ways. Though he stumble and fall, he shall not be cast down. The Lord will uphold him with his hand. I just think that is the most incredible promise and instructional value that we find in this particular verse. Today, the aspect of goodness is seen in righteousness. You see, the rest of the psalm tells you exactly what goodness looks like. Yesterday we spoke about meekness. Today, it's righteousness. This is what verse 16 says: better the little that the righteous have than the wealth of many wicked. Then it says, verse 21, it's got a lot to say about righteousness. The wicked borrow and do not repay, but the righteous give generously. Then verse 25, this is a great verse, great verse. I was young, and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging for bread. I got to tell you, people, David wrote this as he looked back over his life, and he made this declaration that I was young and I am old, yet I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their kids begging for bread. I got to tell you, that is just such a beautiful truth. Personally, I've experienced the wonder of that. He continues about righteousness, verse 29, says the righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it forever. Verse 30, the mouth of the righteous man utters wisdom. Verse 39, the salvation of the righteous comes from the Lord. He is a stronghold in times of trouble. So much on the subject of righteousness. Let's have a look at this. I think righteousness is easier to define maybe than meekness, but I'll tell you what it is not. Righteousness is not behavioral perfection. I'm so glad about that, and I can tell you why. Because it says in verse 24, though he stumble and fall, he's talking about the righteous man stumbling and falling, he shall not be cast down, because the Lord will uphold him with his hand. Now, people, therein lies a great and a profound truth for you to hold on to live by, and to make sure that you own this particular truth. The righteous will never be forsaken, and this verse says that the righteous shall never be forsaken, to the point that when they stumble and fall. You mean the righteous stumble and fall? You mean the righteous can sin? You mean the righteous can drift away from God? Indeed they can. And pretty much every biblical character we know has at some stage done exactly that. Yet the assurance that even though we stumble, fall, walk away, and sometimes get distant from God, God will never do that from us. He will never distance himself, even though we stumble in sin and we fall flat on our faces. It's kind of like when a kid is learning to walk, because that's what we're talking about. Talking about learning to take steps. When a kid is learning to walk, he stumbles and he falls. Have you ever seen the parents mock him and say, oh, you silly child, what are you doing? Look at you stumbling and falling. And the kids look at him and say, hey man, I'm 1 year old. Give me a break. And the parents would never do that. But a good parent is one who will never look and see a stumbling, falling child and look and laugh or bring misery to that kid or mock him. The parent will run with great concern, with great passion, and will reach out and take that little kid's hands and raise them up again. You see, they're just learning. They're just learning. And even once they've learned, no good parent is going to watch his kid stumble and fall and mock him. Every parent with his salt or her salt is going to rush to the aid of that kid and help him or her back to his or her feet. Let me say this today, people. There are a lot of desperate people out there. Desperate sometimes to the point that they would say, is life worth living? I've stumbled and fallen so many times. Is it really true that God could uphold me? Surely he has not cared for me as he should. That's why I'm stumbling and falling. Surely he's going to abandon me. I failed him so often. Oh, people, get over yourselves. God is never going to do that to you. God will never reject you. He'll never laugh at you. He'll never mock you. He'll never say, angels, look at him. Look at him again. He's stumbling and falling again. Though the righteous stumble and fall. And there's another verse that says, though the righteous stumble and fall 7 times, the Lord will never abandon him. You know what 7 times mean? It's not 7 times. 7 is a number that is infinite. 7 is a number that indicates that you can stumble and fall as many times as you like, and as many times as life deals you blows. God will never, ever leave you. So I don't know how you're in today, what state of mind you're in. There are people out there who I know are so desperate that suicide is sometimes even an easier route for some of them to go. I'm asking you people, look up. As low as you may go, there is a God who will never, ever, like ever, abandon you. Though the righteous, that means you love God. Even though you stumble and fall, God will be there to pick you up. Think quickly, I just have come to mind that picture of Peter walking on water. And he was walking there under the instruction of God, and yet he stumbled and he fell, and within a second Jesus is there with an outheld hand saying, Peter, hold on, I got you, man, I got you. Well tried, you're trying to walk on water, I will help you. Maybe you need to experience that today. He'll never leave you. Have a great, great day. Bye-bye.